And I'm going to try to do the AI thing to see if that works. So the participant ID merge scenarios, but first I want to kind of talk about what the difference is between a participant ID and a case ID. And these are my kind of simple, my simple definitions that I just kind of put together this morning. But this basic piece to this is a participant ID is linked to a person. Does that make sense to folks? So a person can have multiple cases, as we know with VR, right? They can be frequent flyers and come back and have their case closed and then come back 2 years later, or whatever the scenario may be. So the goal is that a person should always be linked to the same participant ID. Whereas a case ID is unique to every single time that person comes back, they'll have a new case ID assigned to them. Is that clear? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I totally thought it was the opposite. I just assumed it was the opposite. I should have known.
Yeah, and it took me a while to get that too. But that is how it's set up. So that's why you'll go into a case and you'll see a client of yours that have the same participant ID linked to them, but they have multiple cases. And again, a case master ID or case ID is going to be uniquely assigned to each individual case. But there are scenarios where applicants or clients sneak through and Aware does not pick up that it is the same person. So the technology isn't that smart. Oh, if they apply online, Aware just looks at the name and the date of birth. So if Tim has an existing case already in Aware, but reapplies with the name Timmy, that case is sneaking through. And here we are, 2 cases with the same participant ID. Or sorry, two cases with different participant IDs. Sorry. And the online app is probably the most common scenario where cases come through and it's the same person, but they have different participant IDs. So like I said, this first one here, a client applied online and the name is slightly different than their previous case with VR. It's as easy as that. They applied online and they put today's date for their birthday. You'd be surprised how often we see that one. Yeah. So that client's getting in. A case was manually entered, but that little find button wasn't hit to try to link that case with an already existing case in the Aware system.
This is Amanda. That happens a lot when people are moving from a PE case to a VR case. Sometimes the client, when they create the VR case, ends up somehow with a different PID. So if you have clients that are moving from a PE case to a VR case, just make sure that they have the same PID. Just a thought on that.
And that's the scenario when you want to hit that find button if you're someone who manually enters cases in Aware. So as you know that when someone applies online, and this is not fantastic, we know this, Aware generates a pseudo social security number. So there may be an already existing case in the system with the actual real SSN, but Aware thinks it's a different person, so it loads the case in Aware, and here we are, 2 people, same person, 2 different participant IDs. So those are all scenarios where you would request a case get merged into another case so they have the same participant ID. So we are saying, hey, this is the same person. Does that make sense to everybody? And I think nowadays, it changed where counselors can submit the case merge request, but then I think it goes to a supervisor for an approval. With the hope is that they're double checking it and making sure we're not merging someone else into someone else, which has happened in the past. So that causes a bit of a headache. So we're trying to put some checks and balances there. So I'm gonna navigate to the BRS beacon. Do you like my big cursor? Isn't this great? I just started using my big cursor today. And I'm gonna go to forms and instructions. And I'm gonna go down to aware for aware specific forms and instructions. However, I like to remind people this search field is so much better than like navigating around. I'm just gonna put like case note, see what comes up. That's the one I wanted. I want a case note deleted. So I would just use that search field. But anyway, I'm not going to get into that right now. But I just wanted to remind people to use that search field if you haven't already done so. It's a time saver.
Jeff, this is Kim.
Yeah.
I just had a question about, so when we have dual cases with DVR and DVVI, participant IDs, are they the same in that scenario?
No, they can't
Okay.
be. That's a great
Okay.
question, Kim. Yeah, we have two different awares and they don't talk to each other. The DBVI aware and the VR aware, they actually talk to each other, but not in that way. So they would have its own participant ID in the DBVI system and the DVR system. So
Okay.
good question.
I didn't know if they were connected in any way in that. Thank you.
Yep, they're not. So I'm in the aware forms page. Is that big enough for people to see? Yeah. And this is what we were talking about earlier, the aware case merging request. And we just did a little brief definition. It says this form is used to request the merging of the same client with different participant IDs, right? Like I said, it's the same person, but they got through the system. They got two different participant IDs. We want to correct that. Amanda, do you want to talk about this piece a little bit?
Sure, this is Amanda. So one of the things we noticed when individuals were creating merging requests was some of the things that they thought would be brought over on the new, like let's say we get a new application, and let's say for some reason the pronouns or gender has changed or something like that. So that stuff doesn't come over. So what we did was we added this little blurb here in bold. It says, when merging a case, please be aware that the personal information page of the retained case will overwrite the personal information page of the merged case. So this means that if the merged case has a different name, date of birth, gender, or pronouns, they will need to be manually updated by the requesting staff after the merge is completed by CEQA. So we ran into that, I want to say last week or the week before, where we did have a new application for somebody that we had seen before, but they did have a change in gender and pronouns. And when we merged it, the information from the existing case overrode the new application information. So the VRC had to go back in and update all of that. So we just wanted to make you aware of this because when Jeff and I kind of did our deeper dive into what actually gets merged and what stays and what doesn't when you're done merging, we realized that the personal information page just went to whatever was on the retained case. Does that make sense to people? I just want to make sure if I need to explain it in a different way or if anybody has any questions about that, definitely.
Yeah, and I'll just reiterate that. So the participant ID that remains, the one that ends up being there after the participant IDs are merged, that person, it's going to be that person's name on the old case. If say they were different, and it's probably not a great way to explain it. How about I do a demo and show people? Is that
I think it's a good idea, Jeff.
a visual? How about that? Be fun.
Anita, did you have a question?
I think he just caught on to, I was going to ask the question of if a person's been in the system, because I just came on late, so I apologize.
Oh, it's
If
okay.
a person has been in the system, case is closed or whatever, and years later they come back, they want a new application, it's a different number and everything. So the new number is the one that will stay, and all the information from the old one could be sent over to the new one. Is that what he's saying? Or that they're both
The
considered
opposite.
separate?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the opposite, actually.
The,
Yeah.
the old stuff can be, I mean, the new stuff will go on
Goes
to the
yeah.
old stuff. Okay. All right. Gotcha.
All right, so am I in the test environment? Yeah, I think I am.
Okay.
Yeah. You're in dev.
Okay, here's a scenario where we have
Oh.
Tim and we have Timmy.
Mhm.
Timmy has a closed case. And then Timmy BRS applied again, but Aware thinks these are two different people based on two different participant IDs. And if we take a look at the closed case in the personal information page, you'll see the name is slightly different, like we saw on the front end. We'll see that the preferred pronouns are listed as he, him. The gender is listed as male, and the birth date is 12/1/79. Okay, so let's go look at the other case. Timmy BRS. See, name slightly different. Down to personal information. Here, you'll notice that the name is different. Preferred pronouns are different because it was he, him on the other one, right?
Mhm.
Birth date's the same, but the gender is different. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to merge these. We're going to merge the closed case into the new case because we want to retain the most up-to-date personal information, right? And we'll show you what happens with each case. So we'll show you where the sausage is made here. You guys don't go back here or do this, but we'll show you what we experience on our end.
Sausage, I like that.
So Amanda's in here all the time with these case merge requests. Let's pull up our people. So I'm going to take, did I have this right? Timmy's the closed one, right? Yeah, closure date right there. So I'm going to take this one and I'm going to merge it into the other Timmy. So I'm taking the closed case, merging it into the application case. And we get this nice little page here where it asks us if we want to carry over certain pieces of information. So when Amanda goes through, do you want to talk, Amanda? Since, or you want me to
Yeah, I
keep
can do
going?
that. This is Amanda. So when I go through, I double check and see, so if there are social security numbers, if there's one that has a pseudo SSN and one that has a real SSN, I will select whichever one is the real SSN. The workforce ID, if you want to scroll down, Jeff.
Can I just say one thing about the SSN?
Absolutely.
Does
Yes.
everyone know how to identify the pseudo SSN? 992
SSN.
for DVR, 993 for DBVI.
Oh,
Anytime you see the 99, so there's a layout too. I'm not going to get off too much on a tangent here, but if you ever wanted to check your caseload to see which cases still had a pseudo SSN, you can go to this SSN layout and just type in 992 or 993, hit enter, and it's going to pull all the cases that have a SSN that starts with 992 or 993. So you can say, oh, I should probably get these updated sometime. Anyway, sorry, Amanda, go ahead.
No, you're perfectly fine. And so we scroll down, you'll notice there's the workforce ID, and then down here there's contact information. If there's multiple contacts informations, I will select all of them so that they all stay, so that we don't lose any of that. And then down, so like the personal contacts, so like Jeff will select that, so we make sure that that stays. Educational goals, Jeff, this is one of the ones that I don't really mess around with too much because it's going into the new one, but and the eye medical exam, there's usually nothing there.
So ed goals we typically would carry over.
Yeah.
And So this new grid is this grid here is relatively new. Now it lets you pick and choose which ed goals to bring over, but generally speaking, CEQA, we just say bring them all over because
Yep.
we want to see a snapshot of that person's education history. Last time they were with us, right? We want to see, hey, last time they were here, they got a bachelor's degree, why they want to get another one, or whatever
Yep.
the case may be. So,
Yep.
so long story short, the only thing that we can carry over from the case that we're about to lose because it's getting merged into the new one is contact information.
Yeah.
Phone numbers, email addresses, and contact, like case managers or whatever the case may be.
Yep. And then, so what we do, no address, right?
So let's see.
Not address.
I'm gonna go ahead and reassign. So we're gonna merge.
Okay.
It's
So it's saying you're
asking me
about to, yep.
you want to do this. And it says participant address history does not merge between cases. Don't know why. But it's right here in our face saying that this is not going to happen. So I hit OK. And also it says, would you like to include ed history, work history, evacuation plan? No clue what that is. And offense records. We typically always say, yeah, we want to bring all that stuff over from the case that we're about to lose that's getting merged.
Yeah. Unless somebody specifically puts no on the request form.
Yeah, yeah. So we hit OK. And then in theory, it did it. So let's go back. Let's go back to
No section 1, 2, or 3 of the personal page, so. Unfortunately.
so back to the participant module. Let's look up our guy, Timmy. I actually took pictures of this case so we can look at the before the merge happened, how it looked. So let's go to the closed case. The closed case, it was he, him before. It was identified as a male. Let's see what happened. It retains the information of the case that's open. So this is what's changed. So if I go over to the open case, it pulled this personal information and loaded it into the closed case. Does that make sense? Sheila?
I have a question. So
Mhm.
if, let's say it comes in and the person that takes in the case enters it all appropriately, right? The way in there would be no need to do this. Does it change the information in there just like it did when we merged it? Like, do we lose all that no matter what?
It depends on how you do the merge. If you merge the new case into the old case, it will keep what is in the old case. If you merge the old case into the new case, it will keep the information in the new case. Does that make sense?
So there's always a merge, even if they're just opening like today and we know.
No, not necessarily. If Aware can match the name and the date of birth, there's no merge needed.
And then everything just goes in the way
Yeah.
it goes in then.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I was
Yeah.
just curious. Okay.
Yep.
So
Adele, I didn't either until Jeff and I really dove into this. So Adele is saying that she didn't know that you could merge. Hold on, I just lost my chat. There's an option to merge the old case into the new case. We always assumed that you had to enter the new case into the old case. So I didn't realize that you could do it the other way either. So Jeff, how would you give guidance to people on how to do that moving forward?
I would merge the old case into the new case because that's the most up-to-date personal information. Right? We don't want to retain someone's old preferred pronouns if that had changed. We don't want to retain their former name if that had changed. We would want to take the most up-to-date information. So old into new.
Jeff,
That
this
make
is
sense?
Spencer. Jeff, I have a quick question for you. If you merge the old case into the new case, is it going to keep the new PID number?
Yeah,
But wouldn't we want the original PID number assigned to that
I
same
don't know
person?
that matters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, as long as the PID number is just saying this is the same person.
Got you. Okay.
And I think where we run into problems if we merge the new into the old, like if any of this personal information changed, we'd have the old stuff would overwrite the new stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It does.
So
Jeff?
down here,
I think
Mhm.
somebody just asked a question that I think makes sense. Old into new is a change on how we have been going. This sounds like a solution to keep the new info on the personal page. Yes. Although Spencer did bring up a good point. So like if we change the PID, how is that going to affect how we've reported on people? So if we change it from the old PID to the new one, because we want to keep the new information, how is that gonna affect how we've reported in the past on someone? Do you see what I'm saying?
I do.
So what consequences would that have on like maybe let's say like the 9/11? Maybe it's just something as simple as me updating RSA saying, hey, the workforce ID has changed. And it's as simple as that.
Is Chris know?
I don't know. Chris, what do you think?
Flying by the seat of my pants.
Sorry.
No problem. I think it may be it may be an email to RSA, updating the workforce ID.
Yep.
But I don't know for sure.
Okay.
I mean, there will be a discrepancy, but we'll just get an error when we create our 9/11. And then
Hi,
we'll
this
work
is
with it.
Donna.
Hi, Donna.
Hi, I'm sorry, my camera's not working. I don't know why.
It's all good.
When I enter applications, I try to always figure out if there's an original case before I put in a new person. So, but when I do that, I try to keep the old number. I'm adding to the old case. And if
Right.
we're switching them around and taking up the new number, that's, I thought that was kind of backward.
Yeah, that's why, Jeff, I think maybe we should table this conversation.
In terms
To
of
figure out in terms
which
of
way you should
whether
go.
or not we need to always merge into the old one versus merging into the new one. I think we need to table that and do a little bit more research on that because, and then we can reach back out to everybody and let them know which way it needs to happen or if it doesn't matter. But I'm thinking that Spencer brought up a good point. I think the old PID is supposed to be kept. So, but don't quote me on that. And yes, the intake unit does many of these mergers per week. Sue, we're going to table this conversation and we'll get back to you. Is that okay?
No, we have to figure it out right now.
Can I just throw something in? When I get an application and I find an old case, obviously I click on it, I do what I have to do, so they become one. And then when I'm entering the new one, I just update anything that's changed.
Right.
So I think for me,
Yeah,
that's
and
the
I think,
simplest
yeah,
way.
and I think what's going to happen is we're going to have to figure out if we have to keep the old PID, if that's the case, then yeah, I'm gonna do some more research on that. Thank you, Spencer, for bringing that up. I appreciate it.
Who would know? Who would just RSA ask them directly or
A
Who
VRTAC
would-
might be a good place to ask too. So yeah, I'm just trying to think of like reporting. Yeah, like tracking.
Tracking is, yeah, that's a different thing than what I'm thinking about, but when support enters an application, we can manipulate it the way we need to, where an online one, they're putting in a false social security number anyway, so that's automatically going to generate a new case, I think. And if you,
So-
I mean, yeah, I
So
think
when
it's already gonna, so that's where the difference is, and I think somebody had just mentioned that online as well.
This is Jeff. Aware only looks at the name and the date of birth. So it looks for that match. So if it can match that, it will reject it. It does not look at the SSN when someone applies online.
But if somebody has a different name at that point,
Yeah,
then that could be a different thing, so.
that's the case. Yeah, if they spell their name slightly different, Timmy or Tim, it's gonna sneak in.
Or Timmy or Tammy or something, I mean, it
Yeah.
could be a whole totally different name, or they get married or something, I don't.
But before we
Well,
leave the discussion, you'll see that the phone numbers, we opted to carry those over, so that did happen. Email address, contact information did carry over. So are people clear on that? It's basically just contact information that we can retain from the case that gets merged. Okay. Marty, give me the thumbs up. So I say we're good. Any more questions about the case merge process?
I have a quick question. This is Adele.
Mhm.
Should I wait then to merge until you figure out what would be best, like old to new versus new to old?
I would say just continue doing it the way that we have been doing it. That way you don't have to wait.
Okay.
And then, so continue merging the new into the old for now until I get further guidance. And I will, we'll make sure that everybody knows what I find out.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Amanda.
Case notes do not merge, right, Jeff?
No. And keep in mind that old to new if there was a change on personal information, you're going to retain the old stuff. So that might have to be manually entered until we figure out what direction.
Yeah, I think that's what we're going to have to, keep doing it the way we've been doing it, merge the new into the old. And unfortunately, that may mean manually fixing some things afterward. But I need to learn more about what happens if we change the PID. So.
Yes, that makes sense. Thank you.
Just when you think you got it figured out.
Right, Jeff? And then you go and throw a curveball and then.
Thanks, Spencer.
That's what the meaning of these meetings are.
Oh yeah.
We're
Okay.
all on the same page.
So now that that's clear as mud, let's head to the next form.
So the bottom line is, as Amanda says, just keep doing what we're doing.
So I'm going to try to get back to the BRS beacon here. Another biggie that people use frequently, obviously, is the data corrections. And this may need to get renamed because it's basically a backdate form with a case note content correction aspect to it. But I think folks are probably pretty aware of this form already. And Amanda, if you want to talk about this form and some problems or.
The data corrections backdating. So many of you are familiar with this, but this is the one where you would want to, so if you need an actual service backdated or you need an individualized plan, backdated, employment start dates, employment stable dates, case notes, that's where you would go here. And you would also find the case note correction here. So if you realized, oops, I forgot to actually fill out, I put that in as a placeholder. I forgot to put in what actually happened, but I can't go in now and fix it because it's past the whatever the timeline is. I think it's 2 weeks or something, being able to edit case notes or something. I can't remember what the timeline is. Then you would fill this out, put what needs to be in the actual case note, it'll come to me, I'll go in, I'll enter it and let you know that that's done. The only thing, I mean, I really don't, does anybody actually, let me ask, does anybody have any questions about the backdating or case note correction form? I think this one is the one that most people use, and it seems, the only thing that I would request is making sure that you're putting the correct date that the current case note that you're trying to backdate is, and then the summary title, making sure that that's accurate. Sometimes it's hard if there's more than one. So let's say you have 3 case notes that have the same title. You know, I may contact you and say, hey, I've noticed there's 3. Which one are you actually asking, you know, to have backdated or whatever? So that would just be, you know, just making sure that you're filling out each of the fields correctly. That's really all I have to say, unless somebody has specific questions about this form or these forms. No, doesn't look like it.
I wish
Okay.
Alliance put like a little number by each case note, like case note 1, 2, 3, 4, but. they
Dude,
don't.
we could ask them to do that.
Yeah.
Send in a ticket.
So that's an easy one. Any questions about the new employer request form? What that does? Are folks familiar with this? I'll pretend like you're not. Sometimes when we put people in employed status, we can't find their employer in the system. So you would submit this new employer request to say, hey, I need this in the system because my person just got a job at such and such. Oftentimes they're in the system, but they're entered in, they're kind of weird, and we can help you find them and let you know if they're already in there. Otherwise, this form is going to get you a new employer in there so you can put your person in employed status and get that stable date and get that 90-day clock ticking. So reopening closed cases can be submitted by a supervisor. We try to say, hey, you got 30 days to submit a reopen closed case. You know, the scenario would be everyone knows, like your client, you close, they call you back the day after the 10-day letter. And you're like, okay. So this would be an instance where you would want that case reopened so that your person doesn't have to reapply. If we can we say 30 days, but you know, if it's close, just let us know and we can see if we can make any exceptions, but try to keep it at 30.
Sean Nixon had a question in the chat. It says, so we use the new employer form through Beacon versus the one in Aware Help.
They should be both the same now. If they're not, you might need to delete your internet history in your browser if it's still pulling the old one.
Oh, so the one in Aware Help will direct us to this one.
Yeah, it should. Yeah,
Okay.
we updated link. But sometimes if people don't clear their browser history, it will pull the old one still.
Okay.
I still get both of them, but I haven't seen the old one in quite some time, so I think it's pretty much refreshed or updated. So changes in case access, we do want to track that. So yes, yet another form. This one can be a little bit confusing. So I'll kind of just go through one of the questions that maybe folks have questions on. So this form is used to upload specific caseload access, right? Say we hire someone else, and for whatever reason, or someone else takes on a new caseload. This form would get submitted to get that caseload assigned to the staff person. There could also be instances where we have someone who works across a region or works across the whole division of vocational rehabilitation. If that was the case, the selection would be made to change the reporting structure case access. Does that make sense? And we just ask that the caseload ID obviously be inputted here, so we know what one you're talking about. And we say, are you adding a staff member? Are you removing a staff member? Or are you making this person the new primary staff person with that caseload? Does that make sense? Sometimes someone will be added to as like a backup, like they're helping out because of we get staff shortage or whatever the case may be. You know, you wouldn't want to remove anyone necessarily, but you'd want to add someone. And maybe you would want to remove them because they're no longer needed to be working on that caseload. Pretty straightforward. All right. Moving along. Case note deletion request. Anything about this, Amanda, that we need to talk about?
Again, the only thing is if there's more than one with the same summary and date, maybe in that, then I'll follow up with you and be like, which one do you need? Because sometimes duplicates get put in. I don't think they have the option to tell me on this form, Jeff, if there's duplicates. So I'll usually follow up with them. But other than that, no, there's nothing. I mean, people are pretty much, it could be maybe if there's more than one on the summary title, after you put the summary title in parentheses, put, there are 2 duplicates with this title, please delete the 2 duplicates or something. I don't know, whatever. If you want to be proactive about it, that would work. But I don't, unless people have questions, I haven't seen any issues with this particular form.
And this one might be a little bit confusing, case note or case attachment note. The first one is you want to delete everything, the attachment and the case note. The second one is you just want to, you put an attachment in a case note for the wrong case or the wrong attachment. You just want to get rid of the attachment, but not the case note. That's what this one means. So confidential case requests, that's just submitted by supervisors, Chris? I don't know that we need to talk about that.
Correct. Yeah, that's a supervisory form.
We don't probably need this one anymore because there is no wait list and everyone's been moved off you saw Sam's email probably a couple weeks ago, or we don't have anybody on the wait list anymore. So I don't know that even needs to be there. Might pull that. Yep. This is a new one, ed goal deletion request. And I just put, sometimes an ed goal gets entered in error and it's got nothing to do with the case and you just wanted to get rid of it. I think it's like 3 questions long.
We created this one because I would get emails and even though we have the other section on the data correction, it just, people were like, well, is that where I put it or is that not where I put it? So, and I get asked often enough, so that's why we created the new one. So this way, if you have an ed goal that needs to be deleted, you can use this specific form.
The other new one is an employment record date deletion. It says this form is used to delete a start date or a stable date from an employment record. This form would only be used if the date was entered in error. Oh, they're not stable. I shouldn't have done that. And we can go in and delete it. You wouldn't want to, trying to think of a scenario. You wouldn't want to delete an employment start date if the person like lost their job or got fired or got laid off. You'd want to indicate that in the employment record itself. This would just be if one of those 2 dates, the start date or the stable date, was entered in error. Does that make sense? Well, that's the form talk. Any questions about forms? Any forms? Anybody want more forms? Yeah, probably not, huh?
This is Chris. The other thing I want to mention is, why these forms are necessary. It's really a form of internal control for us and for you, so that when changes are made, we have a good documentation of what occurred and why it occurred. So it's consider these forms, although they may be tedious, they are a safety net for you and us.
Anything else? Any other random aware SQL questions? Well, we have about 10 minutes.
Hi, this is
Marty.
Marty, and everybody in the meeting is absolutely going to hate me for asking a question, but I'm still going to ask.
Do it.
How do, okay, so say like I wanted to pull a report in Aware that would include my caseload and contact information. How would I go about doing that? I spent a good 45 minutes this morning, but I guess I just don't have enough wrinkles on my brain in that area to figure it out.
So this is Jeff. So you want a contact information layout? Is that what you're saying? You want to see your
Yes,
people and
please.
contact information?
Yes.
I don't know if there is one specific to that. Is there?
I think you have to make a custom layout with like
Yeah, you
either
might-
email addresses or postal address or something like that.
Yeah, there's instructions on how to make a custom layout, Marty.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see, where did I put that stuff?
On. Marty, also, if you watch this and it still seems confusing, you can get in touch with me and I can help walk you through on how to create the custom layout that you need.
Thank you.
So,
I appreciate that.
yeah, feel free to reach out to me. I can definitely help you with that.
Okay, thanks.
I have one I use. I can give you the field names. I could probably print it out and send it to you if you want.
I would appreciate that. Thank you.
This one, where is it? Layouts. Oh, customizing layout tip sheet.
Mm-hmm.
This might walk you through it. It shows you where to click.
Okay.
How to get there, and this was pictures and
Okay.
then
Because I was able to create one this morning, but I wasn't able to use it. So maybe I didn't create it.
you probably didn't check these boxes.
I did not. You are absolutely correct.
Yeah, it won't appear unless you check these boxes. One of them is
Okay.
to export it to Excel. One of them is to have it appear in your drop down. And Monica, you had a question that I don't know that I have an answer for you. There is a new PSE exchange form as the FAFSA now gives a student index sometime. Can you go over this for us? Yes, I would have to learn about that myself first. But yeah, we can. Chris, are you able to?
Yeah, Jeff?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Monica. So the FAFSA now, it used to give, as you remember, I'm sure most of you remember, there was an EFC, an estimated family contribution, an SC, and student contribution. And now there is a student index, which Emily pointed me to the new form, and it does ask for the student index, but I am not familiar with this new form, which is on BRS Beacon. I just wondered if sometime you might be able to go through the new form, the new PSE exchange form. Instead, I was still using the old form.
Is it the internal worksheet, or is it the one that we send out to
It's the one we send out, and it's kind of all part of that. It's multi-page. We only send that first part out where we're used to. This new exchange form I haven't used, and maybe it's for a different training. I don't know, that you might be able to give to us.
Hey Monica, this
That's
is
your-
Sam. We did do a training. I can't recall when that was now, Spencer, and I did that training. You might have been off that day or on vacation. So what I would suggest is just reach out to your supervisor or Spencer, just to get kind of a lay of the land of the new forms and the new calculations.
Okay. All right, thanks. Yeah, that's it. Jeff has,
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you very much. I did not know there was a new one. Thanks.
John, your hand is still raised. Do you have a
Yeah,
question?
so I do. So not exactly aware related, maybe more procedural guidance related, procedural directive related. Not sure if this is the right forum. I'll put it out there, and if it isn't, then don't worry about it. But I'm trying to find, and I read it a few weeks ago, but now that I need it, I can't find it. There's a line written in some of our documentation that specifies that like VR funds can't be used to pay your fines or court fees, stuff of that nature. And sure enough, like I read it and I was like, oh, but now I can't find it. So any help would be great.
Mm. Sean, I'm just trying to think where that was located. Let me think and I'll get back to you because I recall reading that too. I just can't think of which procedural directive it was on.
Yeah, thanks. I tracked through so many yesterday and I'm just not finding it. So I thought I'd put
Yeah.
it out there.
Anything else? Well, appreciate it. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. We will have a follow-up. as well.
Yes. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to either Jeff or I directly. That will, that's fine too. So, all right. Thank you all.
Thank you.